Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 18th July 2022. So what is the specialty of today? Today we are going to have our presidential elections. So now let us try to see today's first article. So first article, it is about focus on food and energy crisis, says Indonesian president. So Indonesian president says that we need to focus on food and as well as energy crisis. So across the world, we are facing this food insecurity and as well as energy crisis. So we need to address these two issues first. So this is a thing which mainly said by Indonesian president. So this article is important from your international relations because there is a connection with upcoming G20 summit. So now let us try to see the context why it is in news. So if you see India and Indonesia, they share similar concerns. So the concerns of both India and Indonesia were food insecurity and as well as energy insecurity. So why there is food insecurity and energy insecurity? Yes, because of Russia-Ukraine conflict that led to global geopolitical issues, and because of these geopolitical issues across the world that led to decreasing of supply of gas and as well as crude oil for these European countries. And even this Russia and Ukraine, they are the largest producer of wheat. So because of this crisis, Russia-Ukraine conflict that led to decreasing the production of wheat. So because of this, earlier the countries which used to get their wheat imports from these countries, now they need to search for the other markets. And even we are seeing there are some Western sanctions. So Western countries which are mainly led by US, they imposed sanctions on this Russia, and even Russia which mainly banned from this fifth payment system. So these are some important things which are mainly highlighted by Indonesian president. And if you are talking about some important details, it mainly says that Indonesian president, he recasting himself as a global peacemaker and ahead of G20 summit in Bali. So here we are going to have this G20 summit in this Bali in November. So there are many chances of discussing about some issues regarding this global food insecurity and as well as energy insecurity. So if you're talking about Indonesia, so now let us have a look over the map. I hope you can see map on the screen, right? So here, this is our Indonesia. So Indonesia part which is in the orange color. So here other countries or Malaysia is present here, and we have Singapore here, we have Philippines, we have Papua New Guinea here, Australia, and here we have Timor-Leste. Okay, so these are the countries which are mainly surrounding this Indonesia. And let me know which is a water body which is present towards the north of this Indonesia. So it is your homework, students. So if you see map, you have to identify the water bodies as well. So now let us try to talk about world energy crisis. Already we discussed about food crisis, right? So now we are going to talk about energy crisis. So what are the possible reasons for this world's energy insecurity now? So in the recent times, many countries, they are facing this energy crisis. So both, I can say developed and as well as developing countries, they are facing this energy crisis. So if you're talking about developed countries, you can talk about European countries. So European countries, they are mainly facing this energy insecurity due to this Russia-Ukraine crisis, right? So in the recent times, developed countries and even developing countries, they are facing this energy crisis. So which type of energy crisis? So if you're talking about different types of energy crisis, now the nations are facing. So first one here is coal and power crisis in China. So China and India, they are facing this coal crisis. So what might be reason for this coal and power crisis in India and China? So as you know that in India, the most of the energy that we are producing, electricity that we are producing, it is the thermal energy. So thermal energy means the energy that we are producing by using coal. So one important problem here is in South Asia and Southeast Asia, there are heavy rainfall, and now we are also having monsoons. Right, so because of this heavy rainfall, even in our state of Telangana, we got holidays for the schools, colleges from last 1 week. So here, not only in Telangana but even in Andhra Pradesh also, the number of areas that had been flooded because of heavy rains. And in this heavy rains, we can't go for coal mining. right? So because of this, the coal production had been decreased, and especially we are facing crisis now. And as well as you can see the another side of the coin, so there is increase in the demand for the electricity power. And next one here is fuel crisis in UK, especially in the European countries. They are not getting their natural gas and as well as crude oil imports from this Russia. So this is some important geopolitical incidents that you have to remember and how they contributed for this energy insecurity now. So if you see some reasons, so first one here is due to pandemic. So how this pandemic which mainly had some negative impact on this energy crisis. So as you all know, due to this COVID-19 pandemic, so that overall reduced the global demand of oil and as well as other energy sources, because almost all factories, industries, everything had been closed. So because of this, there is no proper energy demand. So later on what happened, so unexpected recovery rate that we are experiencing now. So because of this, there is rapid increasing of energy demands. So whenever there is an increase in the demand, what happened, that will lead to increase in the price. That condition is called as inflation. So such type of inflation is called as demand pulled inflation. And next one here is, so because of the sudden demand for this coal etc., so that led to automatically increase in the prices of this coal and oil. So how much it has been increased? So almost the price of coal and crude oil is doubled this year, because companies, countries, they are racing to meet the high demand of this energy. So in this scenario, what happened, there is a supply which had been less and the demand is more. So we can see supply side crunch, and because of the supply side crunch, that led to increase in the prices. And the second important reason here is due to climate change. So heavy rainfall which is mainly seen in southern and as well as southeastern Asian countries, so that led to coal mining very much difficult in countries like India and as well as China. So because of this, what happened now, these countries, China and India, they are mainly facing this coal crisis. So in Europe, what happened? So why they are facing this energy crisis? So because of adverse impact on the transport system, gas transport system in these regions, and even because of this Russia-Ukraine crisis as well. And one more important reason we need to talk here is greenflation. So what is this greenflation? So as you all know that now almost all the countries in the world, they want to fight against this climate change. So they came up with their targets, okay, nationally determined targets, and even they came up with pledging that we are going to attain carbon neutrality by so and so year. And even India also make up with that promise. India is going to achieve this carbon neutrality by 2070 and China in 2060, right? So here what happened, each and every country, they want to fight against this climate change and they are moving forward, okay, towards this renewable energy or sustainable source of energy, okay. So because of this, that also led to greenflation. So in this race towards moving towards this renewable source of energy, so here there is a driving the demand for still limited energy sources like natural gas. So that led to increasing of massive price, that is called as greenflation. So whenever we want to move towards a sustainable source of energy, so that will lead to increasing the demand for that sustainable source of energy, and finally that will lead to increasing of prices, that is inflation. So that kind of inflation is called as greenflation. And the renewable energy, for example, you can talk about wind, you can talk about solar power. So they need a massive infrastructure and they need massive investments. So even though we are having infrastructure, even though we are having massive investments, so sometimes we can see there is delay in the output, okay. So here what happens, so because of this we are mainly unreliable on them, okay. And one more thing here is renewable energy which mainly lacks even storage solution like coal and as well as natural gas. So how we are storing the energy by using this coal and natural gas? So there is no proper technology for storing of the energy that is mainly generated from this wind and as well as solar power. And if we are talking about geopolitics, so one important thing here you have to remember is Russia and Ukraine crisis. So because of this Russia and Ukraine crisis, which is also leading to increase in the pressure on this Nord Stream 2 pipeline approval as well. So because of this here, European countries, they are mainly facing this energy insecurity or energy crisis. So this is about this topic, and now let us move on to next topic. So title says only 50% of farmers benefited from loan waivers, says study. So I want to give you one dimension here, especially yes, farmers, they will be getting the loans from the banks, but will they repay their loans? No. So many a times here farmers, they look for this loan waivers. So loan waivers means here government will be saying that farmers, they need not pay the loan which they got from the banks. So banks will be paid by the government. So many times what happen here, farmers, they approach the banks and they will be getting the farm loans, and they always look for this loan waivers. So because of this, it is one of the important reason for the increasing of NPAs in the banking sector. So this is one dimension I want to say, and I personally experienced this. So because of this, I want to share this. And now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail, and let us try to see what is the study and what are the highlights of this study. So this article will be important from your GS paper 2 and GS paper 3. We have banking sector and in the economy, and even we have agriculture topic. So from this agriculture and economy, so this topic is important. And this topic is important from your mains, not from your prelims. So if you see context, it mainly says that only about half of intended beneficiaries of farm loan waivers announced by 9 states since 2014 have actually received their debt write-offs, shows a study by State Bank of India, SBI researchers. So SBI researchers, they came up with a study regarding this loan waivers, and in this study they mainly highlighted that only half of benefited or intended beneficiaries, they are mainly got some benefits from this loan waivers, not all. So if you are focusing on important details, it says that so as of March 2022, so we are seeing a very bad implementation of this farm loan waiver schemes. Okay, so especially in Telangana, only 5% of farmers, they got this farm loan waivers, and in Madhya Pradesh it is 12%, Jharkhand 13%, Punjab 24%, Karnataka 38%, and UP 52%. And you have to see which state you are from, and let me know your state and as well as how much percentage of this loan waivers they are mainly benefited the farmers in your state. So let me know in the comment box. As a resident of that state, you need to know about that, because it might be an UPSC interview question. And now let us try to see some more important details. So the best performing state here is Chhattisgarh with 100% loan waivers, and next one here is Maharashtra with 91%. And some more important detail here is as many as 92% of Andhra Pradesh 42 lakh farmers, they are eligible under this loan waivers. Okay, they had been benefited. And if you are talking about Telangana, it is just 5%. And since 2014, out of approximately 3.7 crore eligible farmers, only around 50% of the farmers, they received the amount of loan waiver till March 2022. And if you are talking about what are the reasons for this delay, so this report which mainly identified that rejection of farmers' claim. Okay, so state governments are rejecting the farmers' claim, and even there is limited or low fiscal space to meet the promises. That means there is no revenue or there is no budget with the state government, and even if there is a changing of government subsequent years, that is also one of the important cause. So three important thing here is, so there is a rejection of farmers' claims by the state government, and this one here is there is no money which is left with the government to provide this loan waivers, and next one here is government whenever it is changing. So if you're talking about some concerns, it mainly says that loan waivers, they destroy the credit culture, which may harm the farmers' interest in the medium to long term, and also squeezes the physical space of governments to increase productive investment in agricultural infrastructure. So what are the concerns here? The concern here is, so here government says that we are going to come up with loan waivers and they are not coming. Means what happened? That will mainly have some impact on the interest of the farmers. That will have some medium to long term effect as well. And this one here is, so here there is no proper finances with the government to provide this loan waivers. And this one here is, so they are mainly focusing on increasing of productive investment in agriculture infrastructure. So these are some important things that you need to remember. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding forest fires or wildfires. Forest fires rage in southwest Europe. So this article is important from your GS paper 3 under environment and ecology. So if you're talking about context, it mainly says that firefighters, they struggle to contain, that is to prevent wildfires sweeping across the southwest Europe on Sunday. Okay, and they mainly recorded highest new temperature as well. So here we can see these wildfires in the countries like France, Greece, Portugal, Spain. They have mainly destroyed about thousands of hectares of land, and as well as they also forced thousands of residents and holiday makers to flee and kill several emergency personnel since last week. So what happened now? We are seeing there is a wild forest fires. Okay, forest fires in Europe, that is in the southwest of Europe, especially in the countries like France, Greece, Portugal, and as well as Spain. So in this area, so because of this wildfires, that led to thousands of hectares of land which is mainly affected. Okay, and it also forced thousands of residents and as well as holiday makers to move out of. Okay, to move out. So if we're talking about some details, so this is the image I found in the Hindu in the first page, and I just copy and pasted here. Okay, now you can see the wildfires there. So here in this, it is actually the second wave engulfing the part of southwest Europe in weeks. So here scientists, they mainly says that climate change and predict more frequent and intense episodes of extreme weather such as heat waves and as well as drought. So here experts mainly says that due to this climate change, so these are the one important results of this climate change. So that led to mainly increasing of heat, that led to heat waves and as well as drought in this region. And this study published in the June, okay, in the journal Environmental Research, it mainly said that climate change is one of the important reasons for these heat waves to become worse. So the wildfires, they have forced more than 14,000 people, okay, to decamp, okay, so into the camping, okay, so they mainly went there. And the Spanish officials, they reported around 20 wildfires in the country. And from south to Galicia, okay, in the far northwest, so we can see these blazes, they have been destroyed about 450 hectares of land. And if you're talking about in Portugal, so almost entire country which mainly remained in the high alert of these wildfires. And wildfire, what is this? Actually, this forest fire or wildfire, it is a major fire which mainly breaks out unpredictably. Okay, which mainly breaks out unpredictably. So combustible environments like dry bush or forest. Okay, so here whenever there is a extreme drought or extreme heat waves, so yes, the plant will become dry. So whenever we are having these dry bushes and as well as dry forest, yes, they are most vulnerable to these wildfires. And they often burn uncontrollably across the large area. So if there is any forest fire that is mainly seen here, so that mainly happens in a very large area and as well as large length on time. So what are the factors that are responsible for this wildfires? So we need dry and hot weather, we need lightning or strikes, we need human carelessness. Okay, so they require fuel, they require oxygen, and as well as they require heat to grow and as well as to spread. And whenever they can be exhausted means, yes, we can see this wildfires which is going to be decreased. So why wildfires cause destruction? So whenever there is a wildfires or forest fires are happening, they leads to a lot of or immense destruction, because if you're talking about the speed it is very high, and this speed which mainly depends on water, weather, okay, on weather, fuel, winds and topography. So if there is no proper topography, or if there is no proper fuel, or if there is no proper weather, means what happened? No proper weather means, yes, that will lead to this wildfire. So if there is no proper fuel means that will lead to decreasing of fire. right? So because of this wind, the fastest spreading of this forest fire which mainly seen. So highest temperature and droughts that mainly led devastating wildfires in California, Brazil, Australia, and as well as southern Europe as well. Okay, so this is about this topic. Okay, and now let us try to see, so how does climate change, which is mainly going to affect these fires. So climate change which had made the heat waves 5 to 10 times worse. Okay, 5 to 10 times worse if you are comparing with a century. So global warming, it is one of the important weather event which mainly led to the hotter temperature, famines, droughts, unusual rains, and as well as floods. So earliest heat wave in 2022. Okay, 2022. So in Europe, the mercury was past 40 degrees centigrade. We can see higher temperature in Europe. And in the May, it recorded highest level of carbon dioxide in Earth's atmosphere. That is about 420 parts per million. So here, this is about this topic, and now let us try to see one interesting image. So the image, I hope you can see on the screen. So this image is about Pothraju. Actually, he is considered as a brother of Kali. So actually this article, it is about one traditional festival in the state of Telangana, that is about Bonalu. So this Bonalu, it is a Hindu festival which mainly celebrated in parts of Telangana and as well as some areas of Andhra Pradesh. They are going to celebrate this. So this word Bonalu, which mainly came from the word that is Bojnalu. Bojnalu means nothing but food. Okay, it is mainly offered to the goddess during the time of festival, that is Kali. So here it is mainly celebrated during this Ashadha Masam. Okay, and it also believed that during this Ashadha Masam, this goddess, she come back to her maternal home. And here, because of this people, they come to see each other and they bring offerings to the food, offerings of food, that is Bonalu. Okay, so this is about this festival. So actually, if you're talking about this Ashadha Masam, so there is also one thing we can connect here is, so if at all a newly married couple is there, okay, so within 1 year if there is Ashadha Masam which is coming means, so here the parents, they will be calling their daughter for 1 month to their home. So this is a tradition that we can see in this Telangana state. Title says, why is Kerala protesting Supreme Court's ESZ notification? So here you have to know about what is this ESZ notification. So actually, what is this ESZ which mainly talks about? So this topic is important from your environment and ecology, which mainly comes under your GS paper 3. Right? So if you're talking about ESZ, that is ecologically sensitive zone. So if you see context, it mainly says that on July 7th, Kerala State Assembly, which mainly passed a resolution, and this resolution which is mainly urging central government to exclude states' human habitations, even states' farmlands and states' public institutions from this purview of this ESZ, ecologically sensitive zones. So from this ecologically sensitive zones here, central government need to give some relaxations for the state's human habitations, and this one here is farmlands and as well as public institutions. So this is the context. So if you see some details, it mainly says that Kerala farmer concerns, they are about, okay, so why the Kerala farmers, they are much having fears regarding this economically sensitive zones. So why? Because so they are having a fear that they are going to lose their livelihood opportunities. And the protests which are mainly seen against this that is exclusively, I can say, about this ESZ. Okay, why they are conducting the protest? So why they are coming up with protest against this ESZ? Because here they are having the fear that they are going to lose their farmlands, they are going to lose their livelihood, how they can lead their life. So this is the one fear. So apart from that, even state government and as well as opposition parties, so they are also supporting the farmers to go for the protest. And the farmer groups and the political parties, they have been demanding that all human settlements, they have to be exempted from these rules. So if you're talking about some important facts regarding these eco-sensitive zones or ecologically sensitive zones. So as per this National Wildlife Action Plan of 2002 to 2016, so land within 10 kilometers of boundaries of national park. So for example, if you are talking about if there is any national park here, if there is any wildlife sanctuary which is located here, so around this 10 kilometers of the boundary, okay, it mainly comes in this ESZ, that is eco-sensitive zone, ecologically sensitive zone. So what is significance of this eco-sensitive zones? So first one here is, so why government came up with this? So here, if you are going for any development or any road project or anything, then what happened? That will lead to some disturbance, right? So here we need to create this area that mainly act as a shock absorbers for the protected areas, and we need to minimize the negative impact on this fragile ecosystems by certain human activities. So we should not allow the human activities around this area such that it mainly acts as shock absorbers. And these eco-sensitive zones, they are meant to act as a transition zone from the areas requiring higher protection to those requiring the lesser protection. Okay, so here this mainly acts as a transition zone because so the area which is beyond this, it is a less protection area, and the national parks and wildlife sanctuaries, they are the higher protection areas. So it mainly acts as a transition. And these eco-sensitive zones, they are not meant to hamper the daily activities. So they are not saying that we should not go for the daily activities here, but they are mainly focusing on the guarding or protecting areas around this national parks and as well as wildlife sanctuaries. So this is about this topic, and I hope you understand this. And now let us try to see next topic. Title says Ministry of Home Affairs has been ranked at 1 under Central Ministries portal at National E-Governance Service Delivery Assessment. So here the title says that Ministry of Home Affairs has been ranked 1 under Central Ministries portal in a National E-Governance Service Delivery Assessment. So actually this assessment, which mainly conducted by Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievance. So now let us try to see this. So this topic is important from your governance point of view. So because nowadays we are talking about e-governance. So if you see context, it mainly says that the website of Ministry of Home Affairs has been ranked first under Central Ministries portal in National E-Governance Service Delivery System. Okay. So here the website of this Ministry of Home Affairs has been ranked first under Central Ministries portal in National E-Governance Service Delivery Assessment. So if we are talking about details, if you are talking about e-governance system, so we are mainly focusing on security and identity. So for security of documents, we have DigiLocker, and we are also talking about digital signature. Next one is electronic payments, electronic messaging, and also hosting, interoperability, delivery, and client support. So these are some important components of this e-governance system. So here if you are talking about this digital police portal of NCRB, that is a National Crimes Records Bureau, which mainly placed in place 2. Okay, and all government portals that were evaluated, they were divided into 2 main categories, that is states and union territories, and as well as central ministry portals. So we are talking about what is this National E-Governance Service Delivery Assessment. So actually here DARPG, that is a Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances, which had constituted this E-Governance Service Delivery Assessment. So they came up in year 2019. So actually it is one of the important part of its mandate, and we are mainly focusing on the boosting of this e-governance endeavors, and as well as we are mainly focusing on this digital governance excellence as well. And if we are talking about coverage, here this report which had been prepared covering assessment of states, assessment of union territories, and as well as central ministries, and you are mainly focusing on how they are working, that means effectiveness, right? And if you are talking about aim, so actually this is a biennial study which mainly assesses states, union territories, and as well as central governments, okay, central government's effectiveness in this e-governance service delivery. So in this way here it will be mainly helpful for improving of their delivery of services to the citizens. So here the 7 sectors are there. Under this we have finance, we have labor and employment, and education, local governance and utility services, social welfare, environment and tourism sectors. And next topic here, it is about startups complaint. So government looks to ease data localization norms. So here we are talking about data localization. So what is this data localization? So what is this data localization? So if there is any country, let us take this is the country 1. Okay, so in this country 1, if there is any company which mainly set up, and this company which is collecting the data, okay, like for example any person information of the citizens which are present in this country. So this information which is generated by the so and so company, so it should not store this data outside India. It should store the data of that country within this country itself. That is called as data localization. For example, if you are talking about any MNC companies, okay, so MNC companies are the companies which are of other countries and they will be setting up the branches in the other countries. So what happened at that time? So whenever MNC which is set up in the country 1, actually it is a parent company of country 2 means, so it will be collecting the data of country 1 and it will be storing in the country 2. So why we need to focus on this data localization? If there is any breach or if there is any violation of this country's rules and regulations, so they cannot impose these rules and regulations in this country 1 because they are storing this data in the country 2, so that they will come under the jurisdiction of the country 2. Okay, so because of this, especially the countries like India, they are mainly focusing on this data localization and saying that, so what are the data which they are collecting in the India, so they have to store that data in India. So if there is any breach, that will come under the laws and regulations of India but not other countries, right? So this is about this data localization, and this topic is very important from your mains point of view, so please be focused. So let me know your opinion regarding data localization. We can go for data localization or not, and if you want to go for data localization, so what are the challenges that you are facing in India? So let me know your comments in the comment box. So now let us try to see context. It mainly says that here Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, which is mainly looking for the possibility of this diluting the norms. So these norms are related to this data localization requirements. So what is this data localization? As I said earlier, so it is mainly focusing on storing of data. So this data which is mainly generated within the country, that should be stored in that so and so specific country itself. So this is called as data localization. So this is the concept of this data localization. So here many Indian startups, they have raised the issues regarding this data localization. So because of this, now we are mainly seeing that there is any need for this dilution of these rules or not. So if you're talking about this data localization, so we have one important bill, that is the Personal Data Protection Bill of 2019. So this bill, which is mainly focusing on like data protection. So it mainly focusing to protect individual rights by regulating the collection, by regulating the movement and as well as processing of personal data. So this personal data which mainly includes either online or offline. Okay, so this personal data means nothing but by using this personal data we can identify that so and so individual. So we're talking about some key provisions of this bill. The first one here is, so this bill which is mainly focusing on personal data. So data by government, data by companies or companies which are incorporated in India or foreign companies. So which are the companies you are dealing with this personal data of individuals. And the data which is mainly divided into 3 categories. First one is personal data, second one is sensitive data, and third one is critical personal data. So personal data means, for example, characteristics, age, name, okay, height, weight, like that. And next one here is sensitive data. So this sensitive data which mainly includes some financial data, such as banks accounts and any passwords or ATM cards, ATM card pins. And next one is biometric data, that is your iris scans or your fingerprints, etc. And even your religious and as well as political beliefs, etc. And next one here is critical personal data. So this critical personal data which mainly notified as it is nothing but the data which is mainly our government of India which is mainly having that data. So that data can be only processed in India. So that is called as critical personal data. And next one here is, it also talks about grounds for processing of personal data. So when we can go for this processing of this personal data, so that the grounds are also given under this bill. So the first one here is personal data cannot be processed without the consent of individual. Okay, and if you're talking about consent, we can take the government consent. Okay, how government will be giving the permission means, so if you are providing the benefits, okay, to the individuals, how they are getting benefits, then at that time the government may give the permission. And next one here, during the legal proceedings, yes, we can go. Next one here is to respond to the medical emergencies, also we can go and we can check the data. And next one here is we need data protection authority. So yes, this bill which is mainly focusing to set up this data protection authority, and this authority which mainly makes some steps to protect the interest of individuals, and even they are focusing on preventing of some personal data, and we are focusing on ensuring of this compliance with the bill as well. Okay, and actually this bill which mainly says that this so and so authority need to contains it should be consisting of like chairman and as well as 6 members and at least 10 years of expertise. Those people, they should be having the experience of at least 10 years regarding this field of data protection, information technology, etc. And this one here, it is regarding transfer of data outside India. So sensitive personal information should not be transferred outside India. Okay, so this is one important thing. And this one here is sharing of non-personal data with government. So central government may direct the data fiduciaries, that is the people who are processing this data, to provide this non-personal data, okay, and even anonymized personal data as well for better targeting of services. So this is about this topic. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding the number of girls adopted in India outstrips boys. So that means here we can see the more number of girls are adopted than compared to that of boys. So this is one of the good thing I can see. So this topic is important from our society point of view. So I can say there is a slight change that we can see in our society regarding attitude towards girls. So now let us try to see the context. So why it is in news? So of 2,991 domestic in-country adoption, that is within the country, so adoptions will be there. So in this adoptions of about 2,991, okay, domestic adoptions, they are mainly made between this 2001 and 2021 and 2022. So out of these 2,991 adoptions, about 1,698 they were girls itself, that is more than half. And next one here is a close look at the data from 2013 to 2014 onwards. So in this website of this CARA, that is Central Adoption Resource Authority, so it mainly confirms that more girls are given for adoption in India than compared to that of boys. So if you are focusing on some more key details, so of 2,991 domestic in-country adoptions made between 2021 and 2022, as many as 1,698 were girls. Okay, so here if you are talking about data from 2013 to 2014 onwards, the more girls are adopted in India. So it mainly indicates that more couples are willing to adopt girls. So it mainly shows that there is some little bit change of mindset of people that we can see here. Okay, so this is about this details. And if you are talking about adoption, adoption means what? Adoption means nothing but it's a formal process through which a child is permanently separated from their biological parents and they will become the lawful child of his adoptive parents. Okay, so there will be the breaking of bond between the child and biological parents, and there is a sticking of bond between this child and adoptive parents. So this adoptive child mainly enjoys the rights, privileges, responsibilities that are attached to this biological child. And if we are talking about this CARA, it is one important organization we need to remember regarding adoptions. So this CARA, it is a Central Adoption Resource Authority. So this is like a statutory body in India, and this body which mainly established under one act, that is Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act of 2015. Actually this CARA which mainly functions as nodal agency for adoptions in Indian children, and it is also mandated to monitor and regulate in-country and as well as inter-country adoptions. And it primarily deals with adoption of orphans, abandoned and as well as surrendered children as well. So CARA which mainly designated as central authority, and they are also focusing to deal with inter-country adoptions in accordance to the provisions of Hague Convention on Inter-Country Adoptions of 1993. Okay, so this is about this topic. And now let us try to see yesterday's questions and explanation for your yesterday's questions. So first one here is regarding Indian Council Act of 1861. So first statement here is members of council granted right to ask questions. So right to ask questions which is not granted in this Council Act of 1861 but in 1892. So this statement is incorrect, and if you eliminate this, so correct option will be 2 and 3 only. So second statement here is half of nominated members, they are required to be non-officials. An act provided for the local legislatures in Bombay and Madras. Yes, these two statements are correct. And next question is a very simple question, that is Kuka revolt. It is a political religious movement. It is not a tribal movement. It is not a revolt against zamindars. And now let's try to see today's question. The first one it is regarding INC, that is Indian National Congress. Second one it is regarding, so why British are more successful in India than compared to the French. Okay, so these are the two questions, and try to read the statements well and give me the answer in the comment box. So we in Rathod's IS, we came up with this foundational course for UPSC CSE 2023 and 2024. So this course is absolutely beneficial. So please try to join that course. And if you want to take the individual modules, yes, individual modules are also available in our Rathod's IS Academy. So if you want to take geography, ethics, economy, history, so you can take those individual modules. So if you want to watch the demo videos, okay, so you can visit our website rathodscienceacademy.com. There you have to register with your email ID, and later on you can watch 3 demo videos without paying a single penny. Okay, and if you have any doubts regarding the courses, so please call me on this number 8074765513. Now let us try to see today's Hindu newspaper PDF. So this is our today's Hindu. Date is July 18th and this is Delhi edition. So first article is about presidential election today. Murmu has an edge over Sinha. So we have to see here what will be happen. Okay. So next topic, it is about focus on food and energy crisis. So I discussed this topic, okay, in our Hindu analysis. That is, I think it is the first article that I discussed, and there I focused about this energy crisis, right? So now let us move forward. So if you move forward here, you can see one image that is about wildfires in Europe. This is the image I took and I pasted there in the PDF. And if you move forward, there is nothing much in the city page. Yes, here you can see one more interesting image. So I hope you can see the image on the screen. So here this image is about overflowing of this Nagvalli river in Rayagada district of Odisha. So you have to see which is this Nagvalli river and where it originated, and which is a tributary. Okay, so it is tributary of which river, you have to know about this Nagvalli river. And if you move forward, there is nothing much important. And here you can see this image of this Pothraju. Actually, he is considered as the brother of goddess Kali. And most of the editorials, they are political editorials. I found one editorial which is important, that is regarding the Biden in West Asia. So this is also somewhat political article. And you can directly move to this text and context. In this text and context, I discussed about this ESZ article. And if you move forward, here you can see one article, that is India and China, they are going to hold the 16th round of bilateral talks. So what happened here is, actually you know that along this LAC region, we are facing this standoff, military standoff since April-May 2020 onwards. So India and China, they are going to have this 16th round of this corps commander level talks. Okay, actually we had these talks, and these talks which mainly continued for the 12 hours, and the two sides, they mainly focused to revive the stalled process of disengagement and de-escalation process. And in this de-escalation process, they mainly come up with an agreement for disengagement from this patrolling point 15. It was very close in the previous few rounds as well, but China refused to discuss other friction areas like Demchok area, Depsang area. Okay, so this is about this topic. And now let us move forward. Here you can see one more article which is important, that is about Navy decommissioned this Sindhu Dwaj. So actually, so this is one of the submarine, okay, we acquired it from Russia and had been in service for 35 years, and finally we came up with decommissioning ceremony. So here Navy's Kilos class of the submarine INS Sindhu Dwaj was decommissioned from the services at this Visakhapatnam after 35 years of this service. So this topic which is going to be important from your prelims. So actually the traditional ceremony, it was conducted at the sunset with overcast sky, adding the solemnity of the occasion when the decommissioning happened. Actually it served in our Navy for 35 years. Okay, so this is about this topic, and if you move forward, you can see one more article. It is regarding food and energy security. I discussed this topic, and here you can see about this loan waivers topic I discussed, and here you can see one article which is important regarding this GST. So I think regarding this GST, here Sarwan sir, he took a detailed class, I think in the last economy class. So this title says that packed curd, paneer, atta to attract 5% of GST from today. So customers will have to pay now 5% of this goods and service tax on this pre-packed label food items like atta, paneer, curd, besides the hospital rooms with the rents above 5,000 rupees starting from the Monday. So here hotel rooms with the tariffs of up to rupees 1,000 a day and MABs charge including classes, they will attract 12% of GST. Again there is a changing of slot which is mainly seen. Okay, and one more thing here is, I found one thing interesting here is the tax rate on products such as printing products, writing or drawing ink or knives and cutting blades, pencils, sharpeners, LED lamps and drying instruments. They have been hiked to 18%. So currently it is 12%, and now the stationery cost is also going to be increased to 18%. And even solar water heaters are now at 12% GST, that increases from the 5% of earlier. And tax on services, for example, work contracts for roads, bridges, railways, metro facilities, effluent treatment plants, and they are also going up to 18% from this 12%. Okay, so tax which is mainly cut on some appliances on transport of goods and as well as passengers on ropeways to 5%. Now if you are going for using of ropeways, it is 5%, but there is no safety for this ropeway. So we already saw one incident recently, right? And renting of trucks and goods carriages and as well as cost of fuel also included now will attract 12% of GST from 18% of GST. Okay, so this is about some areas where there is increasing of GST and where there is decreasing of GST. So now let us move forward and let us try to see some more articles. So here this article is about forest fire, I discussed in the discussion. Okay, so these are some important articles that appear in our Hindu newspaper today. So I hope you enjoyed this lecture. So please subscribe to this Rathod's IAS Academy if you are visiting for the first time, and try to hit the bell icon so that you will be getting the notifications also. So, and one more thing here is like and share my video. So share this video in Telegram channels and as well as WhatsApp groups so that it will be very much helpful to the other aspirants as well. So by this I am concluding. Thank you so much.